What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got to talk about a lovely new winning deck which has gone and come around over in Japan. You see, BT8 is now legal over in Japan. It's a thing, it's out there, BT8 is legal. And with BT8 being legal, we need to go and talk about some of the new decks that are coming around because BT8 is legal. And I figured we might as well start off today talking about BlackWargreymon, because, I don't know, BlackWargreymon is awesome, so why would we not want to start here? Now, this list was shared by Arashi Asaka06 over on Twitter, so thank you very much for that. And if we start off with the Digitama, we've got a standard kind of thing, which is, of course, a 4-1 split. You're allowed to play 5 in total, but only 4 of any one. So the 4 we've got here is the Digimon from BT2. While there are 5 or more cards in your opponent's trash, you get yourself an extra 1,000 power. Getting that little power boost is quite nice. You've then got your Chimeramon that came around in BT6. When you're attacking a player, you get 1,000 power for the turn, which is rather lovely, getting that little bit of extra power boost, which is clearly what we're going for in this particular list. So, as we have a look at the level 3s, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, it's a little bit of an Agumon party. There are many Agumon. So what we've got here is a playset of the Agumon from BT5. When you play, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You add a Digimon with Greymon in its name and a Digimon with Agumon in its name from among them to your hand. Well, I've already told you that we are building up to a BlackWargreymon deck here, so clearly being able to search out your Greymon is going to be a really good thing. That's going to give you extra consistency, and I mean, I don't need to tell you at this stage, extra consistency is clearly a very good thing. But that's not the only Agumon that comes in as a playset here. We've also got ourselves a playset of the Agumon, which is actually a promo. It was a magazine promo in Japan, box topper promo over here. While this Digimon has Greymon in its name, it gains an extra 2,000 power. Now, firstly, this is great because it's giving you even more power. It's clearly a theme of the deck. Secondly, this is great because remember, and I've told you this many times before, these promos, they tend to get very hard to pick up after a little while. So, even if they're not good, if you want to be a serious competitive player, and you want to play many decks, and you want to be playing the game for many years, it is very much in your interest to pick up these promos while you have the opportunity. Because what tends to happen sooner rather than later is these promos get very hard to find. And all it takes is something like this. Hey, there's a new BlackWargreymon. Hey, now this Agumon that boosts Greymon is all of a sudden way better than it was last time. And oh look, now it's much harder to pick up, but now I actually need to pick a bunch of them up, and that's a bit sad. And that is not the only Agumon that comes in as a playset here. We also find ourselves having a playset of the Agumon from Starter Deck 7, the Gallantmon 1. When you're attacking a player, you gain 2,000 power. So the themes are emerging quite nicely here. We are basically building up our power, but we're also building up power specifically when we are attacking the player, which is clearly a rather nice thing. There is one other Agumon we see just played as literally just a one-off. It is another promo Agumon, actually. It's promo number 1. The very first Agumon we ever saw, the very first card we ever saw, really. When you play it, you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 power or less. It's fine. It's alright. It's not terribly exciting. It's not gonna really blow the game wide open, but it's still kind of cool. And of course, we still need more Agumon, so we do have a black Agumon coming in here as well. It is the one from BT8, 0 cost to Digivolve, 3 cost to play, 2,000 power, but when you play it, you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, you add a Digimon with Greymon in its name and a Digimon with Dragonkin in its type among them to your hand, returning the remaining cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's just another way to search out the cards you're actually going to be playing with as you go through. That's clearly a very good thing indeed. It is a proper Agumon party. And as we move up into level 4s, it's just a bit of a Greymon party. So we've got a playset here of the original Greymon, the one from the starter deck that has an inheritable skill, gives you security attack +1. You're attacking the security, you get to take extra security cards out. That's clearly a very, very nice thing. We then add ourselves in a black one as well, which is rather lovely, you know. Going to be playing a dual colour red and black deck, and we're going to be playing Greymon. Might as well get some black one in. It is from BT8, and it is the one with an inheritable skill. On your opponent's turn, while you have a red Digimon in play, this Digimon gains blocker. So this is how you get yourself some nice, big, powerful blockers, and this is frankly a pretty cool thing. And then I don't want to alarm anybody, but we do then actually have a Digimon that is neither Agumon nor Greymon. It's actually Cyclomon. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was never really a huge fan of this one when I saw it, but what we've got is a proper dual colour red and black, i.e. it's red and it's black, and it evolves from red and it evolves from black. But you've also got an inheritable skill whereby when you are attacking, you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 2,000 power or less. Really good for those pesky small Digimon that are frankly making your life a little bit awkward. So you can get rid of some of them here as you're going. That seems like a pretty cool thing. Now moving over into level 5, I'm sure nobody's going to be particularly surprised to learn that we've got a bunch of MetalGreymon here. I mean, let's face it, right? We might as well carry on the theme we've been building. So we got the MetalGreymon from BT8. When you are Digivolving, you trigger D-Digivolve 1 on one of your opponent's Digimon, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3,000 power or less. So basically here we've got another proper dual colour red-black, and you've got another Digimon that's getting rid of small Digimon. So now when you start combining Cyclomon and this, you're attacking with your level 6, but your MetalGreymon skill lets you take out a small Digimon. Your Cyclomon skill lets you take out a small Digimon. And this is building up rather nicely indeed. Honestly, builds up pretty quickly. And then we got 2 copies of the MetalGreymon that came around in EX1. When you are attacking and you attack a player, you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4,000 power or less, and that's carrying on 2 of the themes we've seen so far. Attacking a player is something we've seen, and then deleting Digimon, especially smaller Digimon, is something that we have seen. I should mention our translated proxies here come from the lovely folks over at digimoncard.dev. So this all makes perfect sense and fits with everything we've been seeing so far. And then on your turn, while this Digimon has Machine or Dragonkin in its type, it gains Piercing. And of course, Piercing is something we're going to be looking for here, because it allows us to take out our opponent's Digimon, while also then being able to take out some security, which is really rather cool. We then got 1 copy of a card which frankly I expect to see in a ridiculous amount of decks. It is that Chimeramon from BT8, because Chimeramon's got Jogress Evolution that lets you grab any 2 level 4s and Jogress evolve them into Chimeramon. And then Chimeramon can evolve into anything, and this is just ridiculous. Remember, when you attack with your 2 level 4s, they can be both suspended, you Jogress evolve, you can then attack with Chimeramon. And you gain all of the inheritable skills from both the level 3s and both the level 4s and level 2s, and all of that all goes into one Digimon. And when you Digivolve, you may place any level 5 or lower Digimon card from your trash to the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution cards, which is cool. And then up to 4 of your opponent's Digimon get -1,000 for each colour this Digimon has, until the end of your opponent's next turn. And on your turn, this Digimon is treated as the colour of the cards in its Digivolution cards. If it's got 4 or more colours, it gains 4,000 power. Well, it's going to have 3 colours. It's going to be black and red and white, because they're the colours we're playing here. And that's absolutely fine. Because what's important is that you get to Jogress Evolve, and then when Digivolving, you get to give it a new inheritable skill, and you get to give 4 your opponent's Digimon -3,000 power, because you're black and red and white. And that fits with the theme of all the other lowering power we've been doing. So essentially what we're doing here is building up to big, powerful BlackWargreymon, while also just wiping our opponent's board of little Digimon as we're evolving up, and this is just fun. Now obviously we're building up to BlackWargreymon, we have a playset of BlackWarGreymon here, and we've got a big powerful Digimon. It's 12,000 power, but remember, we are going to be building this up a little bit higher. We then have a skill when you're Digivolving. If there's a red card in your Digivolution cards, there will be, you can choose your opponent's Digimon. If there's a black card in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, there should be, you can choose your opponent's Tamers, and you delete any number of chosen cards whose total play cost adds up to 6 or less. When you combine that with all of the other skills you've been rolling with here, you are just going to be absolutely wrecking any small Digimon on your opponent's side of the board. And now this gets some slightly bigger Digimon, but you are going to be basically wiping the board as you go. If you get going fast enough here, your opponent is just not going to be able to set up. And then on all turns, once per turn, when your opponent's Digimon are deleted, you can unsuspend this Digimon. Well, I've been telling you like this whole video how many different skills you've got that will delete your opponent's Digimon, so you are going to be constantly unsuspending here. Like every turn, you're basically going to be attacking twice. Plus, you got your security attack +1 on your Greymon, and this is going to turn into a deck which is just wiping the board and getting rid of multiple, 4 security in one turn should not be that difficult, and this just builds up so quickly. But what's that I hear you say? We don't have enough WarGreymon? Well, wonderful news, ladies and gentlemen. We also have a couple copies of the WarGreymon from BT1, and this is WarGreymon, not BlackWargreymon. But of course, a lot of the skills we have, are referring specifically to WarGreymon, or Greymon generally. So you will be absolutely fine. And this is the one that when you are Digivolving, you gain security attack +1. Bearing in mind you should also already have security attack +1, which is lovely. And on your turn, this Digimon doesn't activate security skills on option cards it checks. So if you want to make sure that you are just not going to be got by a security card, you're going to be golden. And one of the really cool things here, of course, is you've got so many different ways to build up your power here that the only thing you're really worried about when you're attacking the stack is hitting one of those option cards that is going to be able to delete you. But this won't do anything, which is lovely. Speaking of big option cards, there is one big option card in the deck. It is Dark Gaia Force. This is a red-black option card. Remember, that does mean you need to have both red and black in play, but you should do in this deck. And you choose any number of your opponent's Digimon whose total play cost adds up to 15 or less, and delete all of them. Or as a security, it's just one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 15 or less. This just fits the theme of the deck so well in terms of wrecking your opponent's board. It's kind of brilliant. Now, in terms of Tamers here, we do have ourselves a couple of Tamers coming in as well, including a Tamer which is a great Tamer. And if you're playing an Agumon or Gabumon deck, it's absolutely a no-brainer. It's Nokia Shiramine. Because when you play it, you can play an Agumon or Gabumon from your hand without paying its memory cost, which is clearly awesome. And incidentally, this is a great use for the promo Agumon, because you've got that deleting a Digimon skill, which fits so brilliantly with the deck as a whole, but it's a little bit expensive, but Nokia lets you play it for free, so that's pretty good. And then when you're Digivolving one of your Digimon into a Digimon in your hand with Greymon, Gruamon, or Omnimon in its name, here we're really only worrying about Greymon, you can suspend this Tamer to reduce the cost of the Digivolution. Only by 1, but still. That should mean that basically every turn, each of your Tamers, each of your Nokias, is going to give you just a slightly cheaper Digivolution, which is clearly a very, very good thing indeed. This is the kind of thing you should be getting a little bit excited about, honestly. This is the perfect kind of Tamer for this deck. So yeah, I mean, in any kind of deck along these lines, you should definitely be playing it. The other Tamer we've got coming in here is, again, as a free of, it is Izzy Azumi and Joe Kiddo. At the start of your turn, if your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, you gain 2 memory. That's quite nice. And on your opponent's turn, when one of your black Digimon is deleted, you can suspend it to draw a card. So you should be gaining memory at the start of every turn, and you should be able to draw some cards as we go through the game as well. This is another one of those which is just really super useful. fits in a bunch of decks, fits in a bunch of black decks, and it fits here very, very nicely indeed. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, BlackWargreymon. I am hearing a lot about this deck being pretty gosh darn good out of Japan. This looks like a very good list. It's going to want a little tournament over in Japan. And yeah, fine, it was a little tournament. That's not the point. I'm not claiming this is the very best deck in the history of the world. I am claiming this is a very good deck that I'm hearing a lot of hype about. And I'm claiming that this is a decent list that you can start using to go and test this deck. That is very much my goal in this video. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know how good you think this deck is going to be. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWarsy. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.